Okay. First of all, thank you so much for Rebbe Nechamadina for allowing us, myself, Abigail, my sister, and also my funny teacher, to have a sium here. This for sefer yehoshua. For 2 years, we studied so much. Like for 2 years, we studied every word. We didn't skip anything for 2 years, and it was like such a deep experience, adventure, as well as it was entertaining because she's so funny. So, but today I would like to share about a very, very crazy story, a very story that really imprinted in my heart and my soul. We know that in Shavuot, now as we're coming very close to Shavuot, we know that we read the Megillat Ruth, yes? And one of the reasons why we read the Megillat Ruth is because, on the day that we celebrate the giving of the Torah to the Jewish people, it's really like we all became converts again. Not exactly the same convert concept, but Ruth was kind of like that icon of all conversion, of all converted people. So that's why everybody is like probably just reading Ruth or studying Ruth before Shavuot. But today I would like to offer you another story of another convert, a different kind of convert, that actually is in Sefer Yehoshua, Perek Bet. It's in the second chapter, which is Rachav. Everybody, I think, know about Rachav, but I don't know how much you know about Rachav because she's amazing. She's probably like my hero. A lot of people think because I converted, everybody will think that okay, Elisheva may have a good story about Ruth, but Ruth really is not my story. It's not the story of me and my sister. Rachav is my story, and this is the reason why I'm telling you very soon. Unfortunately, even though we only read about Ruth on Shavuot, yes, we never read about Rachav. We never talk about Rachav, even though Rachav and Shavuot has a very literal connection. It's a very, very strong connection, and I'll show you very soon why and what the connection is. And before I go into it, I want to tell you that I want to go with you the differences between Ruth the convert and Rachav the convert. What's the difference between them? So Ruth converted, but she actually already had an exposure to Judaism. She was already married to a Jew, and she was already living a life in a Jewish family. So she had exposure of people, of the mother, lighting the candles, learning Torah, have a Shabbat meal, and so she was all exposed to that. But Rachav, as we see later, she lived in Jericho, right? She lived in Jericho, and it's not like there was Beit Chabad in Jericho. It's not there was nothing there. Right? So it's not. So she doesn't have any connection to Judaism and any connection to Torah, but yet she converted. And how is that even possible? Yes. So we see in the chapter 2 how Yehoshua was leading Am Israel into Canaan. Yes, and the first city that they had to conquer, that Hashem told them to conquer, was Jericho. So Jericho is a place where Rachav lived. She was born there, she was raised there, and she had a career. She lived in a, what do you say? She lived in a place, in a property inside the wall of Jericho, right? And some people say, some rabbis say in the commentaries, some say that she ran a hotel, some say she ran a restaurant and selling food, some say she's a prostitute. But coming from where I am, I can see that those three arguments doesn't have to contradict one another. Why? Because 50 years ago, I remember my mom told me in Indonesia, a hotel is something that girls don't ever go to. Why? Because it's a hotel is something. How do you say? It's a hotel is like it's not a brothel. I want to say it's in the hospitality industry. Yes, and the hospitality goes all the way, not just bed and breakfast, but also everything that happens in the bedroom. I'm not gonna go anywhere, but that's the thing. It's a hotel back then, 50 years ago. My mom told me that it was in Indonesia. It was like that. So it's bed and breakfast and everything else in between. Yes, and so it doesn't have to be, and all these different arguments doesn't have to contradict each other. I can really easily imagine that Rachav was running a hotel with all the services, right? All in, yes, and it was right there in the what do you call it? in the yes, in Jericho, inside inside the walls, yes. So, and she was very, very smart. When she was 10 years old, she started prostituting herself, but then she built herself up into a businesswoman. Yes, and she became like a madame. She ran a hotel, she ran a restaurant, she ran everything. All the services, she ran everything. So she was all the way up there, and she wasn't like a prostitute, like a street prostitute. She was serving kings and princes and prime ministers and all the people in the high places. Yes. So I want to quickly go through what happened in chapter 2. So Yehoshua led Am Israel into Canaan, and Hashem said, okay, so the first city that you need to conquer is Jericho. So before they started conquering Jericho, Yehoshua sent 2 spies, 2 Mossad agents, to the gates. And so they ended up in the first hotel that they bumped into, which is Rachav's hotel. So for some reason, somehow the intel of Jericho, of the king of Jericho, found out that there's 2 Israelis, 2 Mossad agents inside the city somewhere. And because he's connected, remember that the king and, Rachav was serving kings and whatever, and so she had very good connections with them. The king of Jericho contacted Rachav and said, I heard that there are 2 Mossad agents from Israel in Jericho, and they wanted to investigate this land because they heard that they're going to come and take over the land and so on. So why don't you give me those two guys? Interestingly, and this is completely, I imagine if I was the spy there in that inside her hotel, I would be scared, and all of a sudden she would do something crazy, which is what she did was she hid those 2 spies, yes, up in the attic. And she said to the messengers of the king, it says, yeah, there were 2 guys that came here. They look kind of strange, they're not from here. They're foreign, with a weird accent. So they were here before, but they just left. Actually, you can go and find him. Go outside and find him. I'm sure they're not far. Just go. You can catch them really easily. Even though those 2 spies are there in her attic, yes, and that's weird because she's here. She has no reason whatsoever to hide these spies. So now after the messengers are gone, this is the most crazy. This is the deepest part. Yeah, it's the most mind-blowing part. After the messengers left, she went to the attic. Yes, she went to the attic and she explained herself why she did all that. And I'm going to read what she said. It's only a few sentences, okay? So very soon you're going to go home. It's fine. Hang in there. So she said, she told the people, the 2 guys, Yadati, I knew, ki natan Hashem lachem et haaretz. I know that Hashem has given you this land. This is really mind-blowing. I did hasbara in Indonesia. If you don't know, Indonesia is the largest Muslim country in the whole world, with almost 280 million Muslims. 15 years ago, I was able to boast that we had more Muslims than the entire Arab countries in the world combined. Yes, but now Egypt is a little bit high, so I can't say that anymore. So, anyways, but being involved in Hasbara in Indonesia, I knew exactly what the main problem is. The problem is because they don't believe that we actually inherited this land. So, and it doesn't really matter how we fight. If they don't believe it, if they don't recognize that this land is ours, we can't fight it. But listen to what Rachav says. Ki yadati natan Hashem lachem et haaretz. She acknowledged that this land was given to you by God. We have a Zionist here, right? It's the birth of a Zionist. She's like, the first thing that she said, she's like, I'm a Zionist. Basically that's it. Hey, the reason why I'm hiding you is because I'm a Zionist. So, and this is really mind-blowing. How can she be a Zionist? Listen to this. וכי נפלה אימתכם עלינו, because our, what do you call it? אימתכם, how do you say? It's our courage? Can you say our courage? אימתכם? Fear, fear, the fear. Okay, so the fear of you has fallen unto us. And וכי נמוגו כל יושבי הארץ מפניכם. And the people, the inhabitants of the entire place, the entire land has fallen, has melted, right? Has melted in front of you. So they heard about this. They heard about everything. He says, "Ki shamanu et asher chovesh Hashem et mei yam suf mifnechem betzetchem Mitzrayim, betzetchem Mitzrayim." Because we heard that Hashem dried up the Red Sea when you got out of Israel, got of Mitzrayim, Egypt. Wait a minute, this was 40 years ago, right? I mean, it's like, do you remember what happened 40 years ago to Egypt or to Hungary? I mean, nobody remembers, right? You remember 40 years ago what happened to Israel or to America, where you came from, right? But you never remember 40 years ago what happened 40 years. But she remembered it 40 years ago. 40 years ago, she was only 10 years old at the time. But she heard 40 years ago, and it was somehow in her head. And most amazingly, she said also, "Ve'asher asitem lishnei malachei Emori," and also whatever you did to the kings of Emori. It looks like she's been following Israel's Twitter account. For 40 years, she's been following Israel's social media, so really understanding what's going on, you know? Okay, so this is what you did 40 years ago, and a year later, basically all she did was watching TV and CNN and Al Jazeera and so on, listening to Israel, listening to very easily, like. And imagine this: all these news are news like it's against Israel, of course, because all these people, they want to fight against Israel, right? They know that these people, they know they're afraid. They know that they're coming. They know that Israel is coming. They know that it's going to be crazy. They know that Israel's beat Egypt already. They know that Hashem was so good. Like, it's this God of Israel, this God of this nation is scary. They know that, but yet they still want to fight them. Meaning that, imagine if they had CNN, all they said is like all these negative things, about Israel. So, but Rachav said something like this. And I heard all that. Basically, I followed your news from 40 years ago until today. I followed your news, yeah. And then he says, "Asher ba'avar Yarden lesichon laog asher hacharmatem otam." So also he heard about Sichon, also about Og. Basically, she followed everything, right? And what is her decision? What is her conclusion? After listening to all this CNN, Al Jazeera, and everything, what is her conclusion? This is the amazing thing. Okay, so basically, here it is. I'm going to read from here. V'nishma vayemes levavenu, and when we heard all that, our hearts melted. Velo kama od ruach beish, and there's no more spirit in every person, because it's like, oh my God, it's like they know. So actually, they're so afraid. They know exactly that Israel is going to like beat them up, And then after that, she said, "Ki Hashem Elohechem hu Elokim b'shamayim mima'al ve'al ha'aretz mitachat," because Hashem, your God, is the God in the heavens above and down on earth, right? That is her conclusion. While everybody else, they concluded, Israel is coming. Okay, so now let's go and fight them back, even though they're scared. No, Rachav, her conclusion is that Hashem Elohechem hu Elohim b'shamayim ma'al ve'al ha'aretz mitachat. That's the conclusion. The interesting part is, do you recognize these words? Hashem Elohechem hu Elohim b'shamayim ma'al ve'al ha'aretz mitachat. In Aleinu, yes. Every day when we say our prayers, we say these words, and we always think that it's Yehoshua who wrote it, which is true. But Yehoshua, where did he get it? He got it from his wife. His wife is Rachav. They eventually married, right? So it's Rachav's words that we say all the time and we don't even remember it. All we say is like, oh, we think about, oh, it's Yeshua, but you know what? Behind those words is Rachav's amazing story, and we forget about that, you know. And then the most amazing part also is that on Shavuot, right? So I think yehoshua really felt like this is amazing, coming from her, you know, completely disconnected from Judaism, completely, there's no Beit Chabad in Jericho, right? But she came to that conclusion. That's amazing, right? And he was so inspired that he actually wrote these words into the Alenu for all these people, for thousands of years, to say it every day, you see? And then we forget where it comes from. Anyways, but then the most important, the most crazy part, this is the connection, one of the connection of Shavuot and Rachav. This thing, this sentence is exactly the sentence that Hashem said in Har Sinai, and we're reading it on Shavuot. Where do we see it? I actually brought with me this Machzor Shavuot that is Sephardi. I don't know. I was hoping that it's going to be on in the Ashkenazi one. I hope it's also in the Ashkenazi Siddur. I'm not sure. Is it? Oh, okay. Have you got it checked already? It's a Machzor. Read. Okay, so on Shavuot, of course, we read the Ten Commandments, right? We read on the second. Sorry, hang on. This is the fourth Aliyah, right? In the fourth Aliyah, I think it's the second commandment. This is what Hashem says in the second commandment: Lo ta'aseh lecha peser v'chol tmuna asher b'shamayim mima'al ve'asher ba'aretz mitachat. Don't create a pesel, a statue, or a picture. A build is German. A picture of anything from the heavens above and from the earth below, right? It's the same expression, right? B'shamayim mima'al asher b'shamayim mima'al ve'asher ba'aretz mitachat. The crazy thing is, how did Rachav get there? How does he? It's the same expression, you know. I mean, it's like basically Hashem says, "Don't do this." It's a negative form, but then Rachav turned it into positive form. He said, "I don't need all these pesel and timunah. I don't need it." You know, you Hashem Elohim, you are the God who is God of above and also below on earth. But the question is, how did she get to that? She wasn't there in Har Sinai. Right? She was 10 years old when all that happened. She wasn't there, or was she? Exactly. So we heard also from our rabbis that a convert, their soul has been there in Har Sinai as well, and this is one living proof. She was one living proof that actually happened. She was completely disconnected from Israel, disconnected from Judaism, disconnected from Torah. She was completely in Jericho, no Beit Chabad, nothing. Right? But she came to that same sentence. The same sentences came from Hashem's mouth himself. It's not from yehoshua, not from a rabbi. No, it's directly from Hashem. And that's the connection with that we have. It's not done yet. We're not done yet. You know, there's more connection here. And Hashem was like, even Hashem was impressed. He said here in where is this? I'm not so good with the thing. Okay, so there's a commentary. Midrash Yalkut Shimoni. That's the source. I'm not very good with sources, so I bought this thing. So in that midrash, it says that Hashem was so impressed that she said that. He said like this. You know, if you say that I am the God of this earth below, I understand. You live there below on the earth. But how can you say that I'm a God also in Shamayim? Have you been to Shamayim? No, you haven't. You've never been. How can you say it? And he was so mind blown. I mean, it's like, if he had like hands, it would be, right? Hashem was so impressed that Rachav was able to come to that conclusion. And because of that, he gave a reward. He says, because you said something, that Hashem is God in the heavens, even though you don't know, you have never seen Hashemayim. I will give you descendants that will see Hashemayim. Who was it? Yechezkel. What did Yechezkel see? The Merkava. right?
Chariot.
The chariot, yes, the chariot, right? He was a descendant of Rachav. And the amazing thing is, on Shavuot, what is the Haftarah that we read on Shavuot? Skill. Yes, amazing, isn't it? We read about Rachav's son of descendants. Yes, right? Yecheskel 1, and we see what he sees. Why? The reason why he was given that gift to be able to see is because Rachav said something without seeing. That's the reward, and that's the connection with Shavuot.
Wow.
So, thank you so much, and I hope.
I think Elisheva could take me over. I can resign.
No. Yes. Okay, so the reason why I said we the three of us, we wanted to say, let's celebrate our sium, just the three of us. And I said, you know what, this is so amazing. I cannot just share it. And the reason why I'm doing it is because, you know what, I'm hoping that I can inspire all of you to really learn Tanakh, because the Nach, the Navim, is so beautiful, and we forgot to do it because of something in the past. But anyways, now that we're living in a time when everything is being, everything happens, whatever, all the prophecies are being fulfilled right now. We're living in these lives, in the life of fulfillment of prophecy. We are a part of that, and that's also very important to really go into Nach now. And I hope I inspired you to learn more.
Wow.
Okay? We'll find the time.